So when the producer said to me something about organising, brewery and another word which I can't remember, I set out to prove him wrong. Here I am in the boardroom of Young's Brewery in Wandsworth in southwest London, Britain's oldest brewery. And why? To show you this. This is a picture of Britain's first ever public railway. In 1801, Parliament granted permission to build a railway between Wandsworth on the banks of the Thames here in London and Croydon, and just 2 years later, the Surrey Iron Railway was opened. Naturally, these were in the days before Richard Trevithick and George Stephenson, so the steam locomotive hadn't yet been invented. Horses were used to drag the trucks between Croydon and Wandsworth, a distance of about 8.5 miles, and here at the brewery, horses are still used today. Now these two magnificent beasts are Wandle Mascot and Wandle General. And Kevin Flynn is the head horsekeeper here at the brewery. Permission to come aboard, Kevin?
Permission granted.
Thank you very much. Let's just climb up these.
Come on, here you go.
Thank you very much. Wow. Ooh. How many horses have you got here at the brewery then, Kevin?
We've got 10 shires.
And how many years active service do they have?
Generally up to about 15, 16, and then we tend to retire them off.
Do you still deliver with them?
Yes, very much so. We deliver to about 10 to 12 pubs sort of during the week.
And is it mainly for PR, or is it actually easier to deliver with the horses than perhaps some of the vans sometimes?
Yes, I mean, I suppose quite unusual. We've got so many pubs around the brewery that it's just as quick for us to do it with the horses as it would be for the lorries. It's just that initial pull, and when they first get it going, and once they get it going, it should roll on nicely.
And how much tonnage can these guys pull?
Well, when we're delivering the beer, we tend to run with a 3-ton load, but that's because of the hills and that we have to go up and also down. But they can, in pulling competitions, they do go up to 40 tons. So in actual fact, I mean, a 3-ton load really, for these chaps, is not a lot.
So here I am at the starting point of the Surrey Iron Railway. It's where the River Wandle, just to my left here, meets the River Thames behind. And in fact, the railway itself would have started just on the banks over there. Now, Eric Shaw's with me. Eric's from the Wandle Industrial Museum. Thanks very much for coming along this afternoon, Eric. Now, I've been referring to it as Britain's first public railway. What do you mean by public?
Well, it meant that if you owned your own wagon and your own horses, on payment of a fee, you could use the railway track. But you had to provide your own wagon and horses because the track belonged to a private company.
So who actually owned the railway then?
Well, it was the Surrey Iron Railway Company.
And this was what, a conglomerate of mill owners and factory owners?
That's right, yes. Oh, yeah.
Now, you've got the River Wandle here. Why not build a canal with all this water?
Well, funny enough, that was the original intention. But one of the problems was that a lot of the promoters were also mill owners, and there was going to be problems if they took the water from the Wandle to feed the canal. So they decided to build a railway instead.
Oh, look at that. A Class 66. So Eric, here at the Wandle Industrial Museum, you've got more detailed history of the Surrey Iron Railway. So this is one of the original wheels then?
Yes, as far as we know. Yeah.
And where did you find it?
It was found in the Wandle River, supporting one of the banks of the river itself with another one.
Now, earlier on at the brewery, we saw examples of these sleepers. In fact, they had been turned on their side around the horses' exercise paddock. But here they are now, as they would have looked, 200 years ago. So the holes in the rails, can you explain how that all fitted together?
Yes, the holes in the rails were plugged with an oak plug, and then the rails were laid, as you see, like that, and another one, of course, obvious next to it. Then the whole lot was held in place by an iron nail, which went through the grooves in the ends of the rail.
And what gauge was it?
4 feet 2 inches.
If I can just lift this up as well and show you, there we are. Yeah. Outram was what? Is that the company who made them? Or
yes, they had the foundry. But some say that tramways came from Outram.
Really? So Eric, we know that the Surrey Iron Railway ran from Wandsworth down to Croydon, but you've brought me to Rotary Field here in Purley, which is south of Croydon. So why is that?
Well, the reason is, Mark, that this is the only piece of track that exists on the actual terrace that the railway ran on.
But this isn't the Surrey Iron Railway, is it?
This is the Croydon, Merstham and Godstone, which was a continuation of the Surrey Iron Railway.
So Eric, what eventually happened to the Surrey Iron Railway?
Well, that folded up in 1846, and the Croydon, Merstham and Godstone folded up in 1838.
So why didn't they run steam engines on this part of the track? Because you already had the embankments and everything built.
Well, funny enough, in 1804, they ran a steam locomotive, Trevithick, in Penydarren in Wales, on a similar track, and the locomotive, which weighed 5 tons, broke all the rails.
So the track would have run along this terrace then, Eric?
That's right, yeah.
How far to?
Well, it went to Merstham, about 10 miles.
10 miles?
Yeah, about 10 miles.
We're not walking that now?
If you want to.
Well, I suppose I could do with losing a bit of weight.
Well, that's a good idea, isn't it?